I'm going to talk about is no technicalities. It's about the business value of OpenStack and working in an open source manner. Specifically speaking around OpenStack itself, and then taking things beyond infrastructure as a service and moving into the application layer with the technology that we have called Staccato. I want to talk a little bit about what's happening in the marketplace today and where we see things going, really. What we're seeing at the moment is disruption, and disruption at every level, and things that are moving businesses and business leaders to think about things in a different way. So we talk about something called the idea economy, and what we're saying is it's the movement of ideas very rapidly and turning them into revenue-generating products and solutions. Disruptive business models where we've got new organizations coming and actually hurting or taking market share from existing providers that are out there, for example, banking, travel, all that kind of stuff. And then the Internet of Things that really is accelerating the way that devices are actually being connected and causing a lot more chaos and a way of actually working with customers as well. One of the things that we talk about is actually turning technology back into a business strategy. And actually what we see now is developers are actually what we term the new kingmakers. They're the people who are going to be innovating, creating solutions, and driving businesses forward. DevOps as a methodology is actually on the rise as customers need to change. And change is something that I'll talk a little bit more about, really. And then this thing called shadow IT, where IT organizations are not good enough, not quick enough, that's causing line of business to bypass them to actually obtain services so they can actually move quicker and address market challenges. There's a lot of things and buzzwords that are out there today, really. You know, a couple of them I've put up on there. You know, digital, cloud, microservices, containers, hybrid. These are things that you should be aware of. And if you hear it, we're here to help, really. And what we're seeing, and as I mentioned beforehand, is in the digital world, everything's connected, everything's always on. People are talking, people are doing things. Customers want to reach their suppliers, want to do things. Every business eventually will have a digital arm to it. And it's disrupting every industry that we know today. Well, what is actually happening in the industry? And this is something that I've taken from IDC. Tom, will the slides be shared?
Yes,
they will be. Brilliant. So I won't go through all the points, but what we're seeing is that digital is at the heart of most things that organizations want to do. Yeah. And actually, when we look at digital transformation and the way that it will impact organizations today, there are many facets, and it turns into what we term Platform 3, together with leading industry analysts like Gartner and IDC. What we're seeing, though, is the digital strategy is becoming at the heart of a lot of organizations. Yeah? And the slide says itself, you know, 45% of all IT spending will rise worldwide. And actually, there'll be the rise of new roles within organizations, so chief digital officers, CIOs who are going to look to retool everything that they've invested in to live and breathe in this new world that we have today. And it's all to actually align with emerging what we call digital technologies. One of the things that we see is software is king now, yeah, and I mentioned that beforehand. And what we're seeing a change in is really that customers are now realizing that applications rule the world, and they're looking at things from an application downwards rather than an infrastructure up. And it's not just us that are seeing this. Our friends Gartner are actually saying it as well. And one of the key things I'd like you to take away from this particular slide is the last point, where people are going to build their own applications rather than actually consuming. And in order to do that, you need to have different ways of actually seeing things, doing things, and actually architecting things. I'll talk a little bit about OpenStack, really, but not as a technology, but the way that we actually see it delivering some value to you as our customers. Yeah. When we look at OpenStack in general and the way that it's actually gained momentum and adoption in the industry, you know, we've been working hard on it, really. And I'd rather talk about use cases than the way that we see them, and the key ones that we see is around application hosting and actually DevOps ways of actually software development. Those are the two things that I see personally from our customer base. The other side of it is the testing and support and the ability to scale, really. And one of the key things, and you've probably heard this from all the vendors today, is the no vendor lock-in, as you actually have. It's true to the OpenStack way of working. But what's different about HPE's distribution? So some people may have turned around and said, OpenStack is hard, don't play with it, you really need to know what you've done with it. What we've done with Helion OpenStack version 3 is made it really easy to install. That's through the actual lifecycle manager. So normally you're going to be spending a couple of days, a couple of weeks trying to haul up an OpenStack environment. With Helion OpenStack 3, you probably should be having it up and running within a day with our help and support. What can OpenStack actually give you as opposed to using traditional ways of doing things? Actually, it's a better operational experience, really. It does give you control over your IT environment. More importantly, the big thing that you get from an organization like HPE is the support. So we're there to help you actually take on board the technology, make the journey, but support you throughout the process as well. What does it mean to you guys then, really? A lot of customers that we speak to are going like, need to be agile, need to improve time to market, need to improve time to productivity, yeah, time to value. And these are the things that OpenStack and open source ways of doing things deliver. Faster time to market is key to most people, yeah. You don't want to be slow. You actually want to be able to take a market opportunity and deliver on time. In terms of elastic and scalability, we give you that ability to act and behave like one of the larger public cloud providers. The no vendor lock-in is quite key. I mean, my colleagues are in the room, they might shoot me for it, but hey, I don't care whose hardware it runs on. Obviously, it runs really well on my stuff, yeah? But what we're trying to do is allow customers to adopt newer ways of working by avoiding that lock-in and giving you the freedom to actually leverage the IP in the software layer to do the things that you need to do. From a developer perspective, the two things that we like about it is the reducing the time to revision, the ability to actually take your applications and use something as an underlying IaaS and push it straight out, really. The other side of it is the productivity. Because of the way that we're working with customers, and I'll talk about this in the next section, we're abstracting applications away from the IaaS. We're working with people's ecosystems that enables people to use existing tools, integrate with ours, and then go. But it's not just about infrastructure as a service in the open source world. So some of the things that we do talk about once we've settled an IaaS layer down is actually moving to the next layer. And what we see is typically what we've put on the slide out there, this disjointed communication between the development teams and the IT teams. You heard me speak earlier about change, and what we do a lot within that in my business is actually talk about helping customers make that change, yeah? To bridge that gap that lies today between IT infrastructure operations and developers, yeah? Let's talk about what does it mean when I term cloud native. Now, cloud native are applications that are built for the cloud. We have a number of rules. They're called 12-factor designs. I'm going to talk a little bit more about PaaS, and if there's any technical questions, my brain is sat right in front of me, or he was. There he is. He's taking a mugshot just to make sure that the bosses know I turned up. Yeah? And then we talk about microservices as well. So what we're seeing now, and the way that HPE is working with customers is, yes, we'll help you with your open source IaaS, but we'll also help you deliver value to your open source IaaS by looking at PaaS, and an application PaaS at that level. What are the impacts that PaaS has, really? So we talked about the underlying infrastructure, and Helion OpenStack will allow you to standardize your IaaS. Yeah? What we then do is layer this PaaS layer on, which then enables faster time to market, allows you to develop your applications at speed. It helps you with productivity and innovation, so you see a market opportunity, your developers can engage and code and actually seize that market opportunity. Cost savings come through actually having the standardized processes, working through with us and our partners in getting your OpenStack environment installed correctly, up and running, which then allows you to deliver value from a PaaS perspective. Other benefits that we see, really, is on the right-hand side of the slide, really, the scaling at peak and performance. What the PaaS allows you to do, really, is take an application and allow it to drive the underpinning infrastructure. So when it needs more, it'll allow it. When it doesn't need more, it'll shrink it. If it needs more, it'll call upon the IaaS layer. What it's doing is actually allowing the developers to do what developers do, allow IT infrastructure operations to do what you do, but all in line with the way that the business leaders are driving the business. Yeah? So what is it? Everybody wants to become a SaaS provider. Yeah? And actually, underneath it all, and today has really been about the IaaS layer. In my world, IaaS isn't really important, but because I sit on anything. What we're doing now with the PaaS layer is adding that intelligence, adding that ability to take advantage of your existing investments, take a change and move away from traditional ways of doing and looking at open source to drive the IaaS layer, understand your applications, understand how they're going to be sitting on there, but then also with the PaaS layer, give you the ability to redevelop and redeliver new ideas, new innovations to help you move at speed. Yeah? The biggest things that we do, and the mantra that we have, is develop in any cloud, in any language. So what we're now doing is actually driving value from your initial investment at an OpenStack layer and giving you that ability to move at speed from an application perspective. Does this look familiar? Yeah? You want to go and do something, and it's going to take time. You've had an idea, and if you want to get it out, typically this process could take between 3 and 6 months. So as business stakeholders and stuff, you're going to lose the market opportunity. What we're trying to do with a PaaS layer is absolutely streamline it. Yeah? So line of business comes to IT, or the developers come and go, right, we need to go and seize this market opportunity. The developers can code. Yeah? Throughout the actual life cycle of the application, we integrate with CI/CD tools, we integrate with your source code managers, we integrate with the IaaS layer, we allow you to deploy at speed, but we manage that consistency. Yeah? And we reduce that time that it takes to actually push something out, and you can push new services, new products, new ways of doing things at speed. And it's not just about coding. Yeah? Today, we've been focused on OpenStack. I've just spoken a little bit about PaaS. We've spoken about applications and new ways of doing things. Barring everything that we've got in the portfolio as Helion OpenStack, or Helion Staccato, or Eucalyptus, which is what I look after as well, we're here to handhold you through this absolute change and transformation, either through our partners or directly through ourselves. So we've developed a way of actually working with you to look at your applications, assess where you could be, and help you on that journey, yeah, to move from the platform 2 to the platform 3. DevOps is a methodology, and it's something that we pride ourselves on. It's something that we've done internally, and it's DevOps in the way that you guys want to do it, yeah? So we won't come in and dictate. We help you go through that cultural change, align IT and the developers and the line of business. That way you can absolutely tackle anything that comes at you. The other side of it, which most people forget about, is organizational transformation. Yeah? When you take this journey on board, and when you go down the OpenStack route or any open source route, there's going to have to be change. People need to change the way that they think about things. People need to change the way that they do things. And some of the help and services and guidance and advice we give is around change management. Yeah? So it's a complete offering from cradle to kind of like grave, from your OpenStack adventures right the way in to actually into your platform and your application world. Yeah? Number of customers that we've worked with, some of them I can't name, large banks, some in EMEA, some in North America. One of them actually probably sits in your wallet, can't name them, but they're quite obvious. Yeah? Retailers in the UK and across Europe, car manufacturers, all taking this journey. Their first one was breaking away from the legacy, onboarding open source ways of doing things, onboarding and looking at new ways of working, and then moving with us. Yeah? Next steps. So, how can we help you transform to digital using open source ways of doing things, open source ways of thinking, and open source ways of technology? Yeah? We can work with you to discover. Let's have a chat. Where are you going? Why are you going there? What is it you want to do? What are the drivers? How do we assess it? How can what I've just spoken about accelerate you in what you want to do? Let's then design the thing. Where's it going to sit? Is it going to sit on-premise? Do you want to consume it? Yeah? One of my partners, Amcio, will help you in just consuming OpenStack cloud services. Our colleagues at Kangaroo will help you and guide you in deploying OpenStack and getting it up and running to delivering business value. The next side is the implementation. But the implementation is tough. Measures of success are quickly defined, both business and technical. We run really tight pilots. You know, what is it we're trying to do? What challenges and business issues are we addressing, and are we hitting the outcome? Yeah? In our world, we have things like hackathons, yeah, that we deliver as part of the entire process to help you engage, deliver, and demonstrate value back to the business, that actually you're making a change that's going to save money, but more importantly, make money. So, let's have a chat. We're at the stand, yeah? Don't forget your goodie bag. More importantly, don't forget to grab your USB stick. And on that USB stick, you'll have a distribution of Helion OpenStack 3.0. You'll also have my microcloud PaaS platform. 3 things that you can then do. You can have a go yourselves, yeah, and then give us a call and we'll give you a hand. Or you can work with our partners Kangaroo, who will actually help you deploy at speed, yeah. Alternatively, if you don't want to do any of that, but you still want to look at OpenStack, then have a chat with our partners Amcio, yeah. They're using Helion OpenStack 3.0. They're launching today. So if you want to take this journey, come with us, yeah. It's not going to be easy. We ourselves have been through this pain, yeah. There's nothing better than eating your own dog food, as we say back in the UK, yeah. My only last thing to say in closing is thank you for beating my favourite football team last night. That was my hometown. Thank you very much, guys. We'll see you in the second leg, yeah, on my terms, yeah. Any questions? I've tried to wrap it up. Any questions? Tom?
What's the typical question a developer will ask so that operations knows we need to talk to you?
What's the typical question that the developers will ask?
So that operations knows they need to talk to you.
So, yeah, it is. It's absolutely, it's going back to that first slide, it's painful working with IT. It's painful working with you ops. But I need to work with you. How do I do it? So what we do is, excuse the analogy, I'm Indian. We fix that broken arranged marriage. Yeah? We sit the guys down in the room and we help them understand each other's needs. Yeah? That way and only that way can we kind of like say, this is how the IaaS needs to look for the IT guys. We then work with the operations guys to sort of like say, what's the governance? How does it need to run? How does it need to operate? And then we understand what the developers want to do in terms of how do they want to code, why do they want to code, and what speed do they want to run at. Yeah? Anybody else? Don't be scared. Mr. Applemack? No?
So I heard a lot about you talking about how this is beneficial for development of applications, etc.
Yeah.
But what are real business values when you go into, for instance, C-level in your organization? How can you tell the OpenStack story there?
At the C level?
Because they don't care about development or whatever.
No. Yeah, so that comes down to the ability to talk at a C level around turning, time to market, time to value, and agility. You know, making IT a profit center, making IT key and as a strategy into the business again, yeah, and actually align to line of business. What we've seen a change in is the change in budget shifting to line of business, allowing IT and working with IT to actually become more business savvy so they're better able to deliver. At a C level, it's all about, can I help you time to market? Can I help you with your disruption? Can I help you innovate? Can I help you gain a competitive edge? Yeah, you can't do that with legacy, so let's look at newer ways of doing things and driving it top down. So that's the change side of things that we speak about.
Could you give an example on a use
Certainly. So I can't name the customer in the UK. I did speak to them today. They said no, sorry, because they're with me at the Cloud Foundry Summit. A retailer in the UK that we work with. Now, I'm not a DIY enthusiast, but I love going into their stores and buying stuff that I'll never use. Yeah. So I'm good at breaking stuff, but I can't make it. Yeah. And they were seeing pressure from, when I spoke about disruption, this is disruption at work. They were seeing pressure from Amazon taking their revenues and normal retailers, so in the UK, Sainsbury's, Tesco's and all them people, because what they started doing was selling their products at a cheaper price. Yeah? So lawnmowers, hammers, nails, sheds, all that kind of stuff. And what they took a real stance on doing was, and their problem is they needed to move at speed and become digital to deliver newer experiences, to retain their customers, capture better customers, and move their revenues forwards. They were too slow in the IT department, too slow. Months to provision a VM. Stephen was with me in those meetings. Yeah, IT was becoming kind of like irrelevant. And the way that we worked with them wasn't really at a technical level to begin with, but it was 8 or 9 months of understanding where is the business going and how can we help you break the legacy? Yeah, how can we help you make the change? And actually, the key question was, are you ready to change? Answer was yes. We can then sit down with them and go, okay, we can give you a solution that will help you address the needs of the developers and address the needs of the line of business that allows you to work at speed and in step with the way that you want to work. What they did do was leave all their legacy behind and created a brand new organization. Yeah? That was lean, that was agile, that worked in what we call Scrum and Agile methodologies. We built a sandbox, Helion OpenStack environment, just to prove it to the developers and the business that this thing does work. We took it to the next level with a PaaS layer, currently being deployed. Yeah? But the PaaS layer now enables the developers to A, run at speed, keeps line of business very happy, helps us control shadow IT. There was a lot going on and out. IT has now become relevant. Yeah? IT is now learning how what they're doing is delivering cost savings, but more importantly, hitting the KPIs that they have as common goals. Yeah? Does that answer your question?
Raj?
Yes.
But why should I then go to OpenStack and not, for instance, if I'm already using a VMware stack, just add on an automation platform like Realize to enable also the time and speed, agility, etc.
So that comes down to your applications and what you're doing. Yeah. So.
I could use also the Dockers and containers, etc.
So why would you move to OpenStack rather than stick to VMware and vRealize?
Especially this if the organization is already using it.
Yeah. So OpenStack isn't a replacement for VMware. It needs a hypervisor underneath it. Yeah. It all comes down to your applications. Am I running out of time? No. It's okay. It's good. This is good. You're asking more questions than you did to Dell. I'm happy. Yeah? Yeah, give him the mic. Go ahead. Yeah, cool. If you just for the audience.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering if an organization is already fully deployed on VMware, and VMware is also automation tools like vRealize to enable agility, etc., also delivering stuff like containers, Dockers, etc. Why should you introduce then a fully new environment like OpenStack with all the fear and risks involved?
Stephen's my chief technologist. He's my brains.
Greetings, folks.
Yeah.
My name is Stephen Mustafa. Well, his chief technologist, so to speak. Good question. Frankly, OpenStack versus the VMware discussion is something somewhat side to the application discussion. With the application discussion, at least from the PaaS perspective, you're going up the level. You're not really tied down to any specific IaaS. From my concern here, OpenStack and VMware, use whichever one you like. If you'd like to shift over to OpenStack, you're more than welcome to. If you'd like to stay on VMware, you're fine. In fact, if you'd like to burst out to pretty much any IaaS out there, your Azure, your AWS, that's fine. The biggest driver really is the realization that you're still thinking about things from the infrastructure up. What's the difference by adding more nodes in your IaaS and going into your data center and buying new tin boxes and you're slipping them into your rack mount? Frankly, nothing. It's the realization, the light bulb moment when you recognize that no, I realize now that everything I'm doing here from the hardware, the IaaS, and so on, really at the end is to run my applications. You recognize that the applications really are your differentiators. Now, specifically, well, okay, so I deal with the engineering for Staccato itself, but I mean, not to mention Staccato as a product here. Your solution is to really recognize things that you need to flip this upside down, grab your application, then whatever is required magically, we're engineers, we don't understand magic, comes and actually brings things up, right? That's really where the difference is. So, specifically to answer your question, OpenStack versus VMware, honestly, I don't care. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So,
The other way of looking at it is if you've got a lot of investment in VMware, then stick with it. OpenStack allows you to transition to newer ways of doing things, yeah, to a certain extent. So we're not saying OpenStack is a silver bullet or the golden keys to, you know, Euro millions, yeah. It's about having a sensible discussion about where you are, what you're looking to do, more importantly, where your applications are going, more importantly, where your business is heading. Yeah.
VMware is also a solution for microservices, etc.
It's
So, what is the top 5?
the top reason that my customers are moving to an alternative IaaS layer, cost. Yeah. And I'm not going to knock them. We have a massive alliance with them. But
actually, the biggest reseller.
we're the biggest reseller, yeah. So, but it is, a lot of customers are looking at it, yeah, and they're kind of like saying, well, actually, I could do that on KVM, yeah, or I could do that on something else. So why should I pay the tax? Yeah, so it's a difficult conversation for me to have, but that cost is the biggest driver for people moving away from that type of stuff. But in other things, it's the right platform, yeah. So, like I said, it's not the silver bullet. It's, you know, it's entirely up to you guys, and it's about change, and that willingness to change, yeah, and understanding the cost of changing as well, yeah.
The second biggest reason that comes along with that, to be honest, is we're seeing a very big push towards open source. Now, it's very much like Linux. Every distribution out there, there's so many distributions out there. In fact, for the record, Linux is the most downloaded open source product out ever, okay, for good reason. But, I mean, look at the different distributions you have. You've got Red Hat on one side, you've got SUSE on the other one. Go to and they're open source, even though you can pay for support. So there is some sort of commercial support on there. With VMware, you only have one vendor. You're always locked in with one thing. And again, I'm not, you know, it's a very good product, don't get me wrong, but, you know, let's be honest, we're pragmatic here. This is the industry we work in. Cost is definitely a very big player in there. And some actually don't want that vendor lock-in. I mean, look at your peers in the industries that you're in. Many have decided to jump ship because, well, OpenStack, for one, regardless of distributor here, is pulling from the upstream. It's open source, and you know, if worst case were to happen and they decide to move to a different distribution, they have options. It's no longer a bad marriage.
Yeah. Does that help answer the question? Yeah. Cool. Anybody else? That was fun. That was. Absolutely, it does need a hypervisor underneath it.
Because in my opinion, it enables you to actually use cloud resources, on-premise resources, colo resources in the same environment, and it basically gives you the opportunity to utilize best of all.
Absolutely. So that brings us on to the broader HPE strategy of multi-cloud. But for the benefit, did everybody hear the question? Yeah? Cool. So this brings us down to our overarching, I'll call it our as-a-service strategy, which you've just described. Yeah? What you've just described is the ability to have choice and where you place your workloads. And open source ways of doing things enable that. Yeah?
Yeah, in my opinion, that's the biggest benefit of OpenStack.
Yeah. It comes down to lock-in. Yeah? And go back to food and stuff or shopping, yeah? The world that we live in is all about choice, yeah? If you lock yourself in, you can only ever go and buy your food or your clothes from a certain department store or supermarket rather than being able to have choice, yeah? And the world that we live in is all about choice. And open source or OpenStack and all the stuff we've got in the portfolio enables that. My PaaS runs anywhere. It'll run on OpenStack, it'll run on AWS, it'll run in Azure. That retailer that I spoke about is running in all three environments, yeah? Because they want that business agility, they want that high availability, and they want that always on service, yeah? And you can only do that if you've got a broad open source ecosystem. Happy with that answer? Buy you a beer? Yeah? Anyone else? This is good.
More questions, folks. We've got more answers.
Yeah? Don't be shy. I know I'm from England. I know we've exited, but we can still talk to you. Hey? All done? All good? Come and see us at the booth. Yeah? Pick up your stick. Have a chat with the guys at Kangaroo. Have a chat with the guys at AMCO. Let's have a sensible chat about what is it you want to do? Why do you want to do it? And more importantly, how can we use our experience and the stuff that we've done to ourselves, the battle scars that we've gone through, the experience that partners have had, together with some of the experiences, both good and a little bit ugly at times, with customers. And how do we help you accelerate? Thank you.